We're live. This is the LocalSupport Retro Kickoff. Well, I think now we're live. Retro Support Kickoff. Sam and Piotr here. I guess what we should do is quickly go to this screen here. That's not an unreasonable screen to be on. And what we should also do is get up the retrospective document. So let's just move through it. So we've now got, not worrying about that, scaffolding more pairing activities. We're trying email validations. I was about to delete them, and then I was reading all of the great things I was writing about the directions of the project, and I was like, oh, I will just close that anyway. So we are trying the retro kickoff on Tuesdays, and at least you and I are here. So let's just pop that out of the way. That's been dealt with.
I guess Marwan cannot come.
Yeah, I don't know. It's both Marwan and Zmago had sort of said this day might be better. I mean, Marwan seemed he came into he was in one hangout once upon a time. I think he's generally, maybe his internet connections are not so good. At least the idea of this document is that it's supposed to try and allow us to be somewhat asynchronous and be flexible. But I mean, I guess I will just ping Marwan and Zmago again.
Did they vote on Tuesday?
Did they vote on Tuesday? They suggest. I think they suggested Tuesday as not being too bad. But of course, in a community of volunteers, we'll see. Maybe I need more time. Anyway, I'm just trying to quickly go through this. So we need to properly prioritize those things. Marilyn hasn't responded about. I was particularly asking because we did that. How do you feel about how we are now giving points to bugs and chores? We did that partly in response to your suggestion. Okay. Update PRs to develop, and that's been done. Regular kickoff on Tuesday, yes. And we've done these things, so anyway, I'm going to get rid of those action items. Mm-hmm. Okay, so yeah, so you need to meet Zmago for pair programming editing the invitation email.
I probably could do it myself, but I wanted to do it with him for pair programming.
And he hasn't been available? Is that partly why that's a struggle?
Yeah, so we'll just I hope we'll meet until Friday, and we'll find some time to do that.
Yeah. Oh well, that's. I mean, I think it's a common problem that we have with different people with different levels of ability. There's, this is a lovely feature, but there's no rush. So certainly, but there's if that's
maybe struggle is too big word for that.
yeah. Anyway, or that. Well, I guess that's an action item. Perhaps you can just put it in as a. Yeah. There we go. So I've noticed, we've got a bit of a backlog because of, we've missed the client meetings for a couple of weeks. And that clearly the fact that we had talked about sorting the backlog in order of priority, but that hadn't finished, that, was a problem that sort of derailed you slightly.
And also, as you showed me, there are many features in Icebox which are probably even more valuable for the client than the features or chores that are in a backlog.
Possibly, yes. I mean, and that's sort of, I guess, the main issue. Other things are going on. I mean, I've failed to make progress on documentation. I mean, that's related to funding. At the moment, I mean, Website 1 and the MOOC are the things I'm focusing on. If we do get this funding for LocalSupport, then, well, in my mind, the big thing that will push me to do the documentation is, as I work through and try and improve the documentation for the MOOC, in part 2, there's an Agile Ventures open source assignment, which I think we can probably make required this time, which will require people to get set up with particular Agile Ventures projects, and that will be my big push to make, the documentation really, really good.
But I think you could also tell people like me, even earlier, to try to document their errors that they have or problems that they encounter.
Aha.
And maybe document that, and then you would have a material to update your documentation, for example.
Yes, that's a good suggestion. I think what I want to get set up is a thing where the process of adding the documentation is part of the pull requests. So the documentation, rather than being, I mean, I'm conflicted about, as usual, about the wiki, is that obviously you were able to very quickly update that just now to add that sudo apt-get update. The danger with having the wiki so easily updatable is it can get very messy very quickly, and there's you don't necessarily have explicit review of it. And I think what we want to move towards is, documentation should be part of the pull request that things come in. So yeah, I totally agree that with what you're saying there. Yeah, I'm slow to add that suggestion. Sam should tell people about documentation earlier, documenting their flow earlier. Very quick side comment on that. What I have noticed, and I had this in the boot camp in London, is I was very, very often trying to get people to sort of to say that, look, you're working through this complex thing, write down what you're doing as you do it. And then, when you get stuck, you've kind of got a description of what you're doing, or like you're stuck, write down what you've done and post a question on a Stack Overflow or what have you, all this. And people just really, I don't know, they really didn't want to write stuff down. Anyway, another story.
It sometimes takes more time to the people, so I understand. But if somebody is already involved, like me,
yes.
So yeah, it's like more. It should be easier for these people to do that.
Okay, well, this is me telling you, Piotr, write more things down. So that's my instruction to you. I think that the interesting thing is that it's when you're working on it and you're struggling with stuff, it's you kind of just want the problem to go away, and sometimes stepping back and starting to write it down. I mean, there's a mentality that comes from open source that says I'm not struggling alone. It says that I'm working with this huge worldwide community of people, and we're all trying to look out for each other. So anytime that we encounter a problem with the software, it's not about us being stupid or us not know what we're doing. It's about this system is not as easy to use as it could be. And so, I want to improve the design, I want to improve the documentation, and kind of, it's sort of a collaborative effort of the human race to improve all these things. And I think there's a slight, that's not necessarily the mental attitude that people have going into. Anyway.
Yeah, but I think it's quite a hard thing to do, but I also try to do that.
Yeah.
So today was a good excuse to do that, because in fact I was encountering also problems with setting up C9 before, but I was finding solutions on internet. I was doing myself, and I haven't been writing it down.
Yes, absolutely. Well, and it's yes, particularly when one is invested in a project, it's really valuable for the project to get that stuff written down. Good show. Yes. So other things that are going on, I'll just mention is, so Marwan he's exploring some issues related to the Travis Cucumber fails and the Heroku deploy. I just successfully, we had with Marwan's latest request, it didn't automatically deploy, but when I pressed the button, we had Heroku review app deployed on request. But what we really want to do is to do it automatically. But maybe when we merge this in now, I guess that's what I will do, just very quickly before I forget, and just to show you the reference thing that I'm talking about. So we've got our pull requests. This one here, this one here, I think seems to have allowed the item to deploy. So this allowed review app to deploy on request. So I will merge and see if future PRs have review apps. Dun, 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 bum, 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 bum. Okay, that goes in, and that actually allows us to. I think I can close that one because that was a alternate version of it.
So this one will, if we now deploy for a push to the develop branch, then we get it all on Heroku, or you need now to click on request?
Well, in principle, because this is what we have happening on website 1, is that because this was the last, after we changed the migrate thing out of the setup file so that they run independently, the absence of the device secret key was the last error that was appearing in the review app logs. In principle now, if somebody submits a pull request, it will deploy an app. I mean, potentially, if you update this one, it might deploy one. We will see. I mean, it's a bit of a temperamental thing. Anyway, let's not worry about it too much. But so, well done getting those links to the categories. You and I could talk about that pull request there. I've put a few notes in there for you. Your suggestions here are preparing for the long-term approach for the app's development. The thing that I'm starting to what the client, just to talk to that, the client is saying, or I think her vision where she wants to be is she wants to be in at least. I'm going to go to the volunteers. She is hoping to see ultimately volunteer opportunities being pulled in from lots of different sites. And so I've had a couple of other, I've reached out to a couple of other organizations that she suggested, and they're working on APIs, which we could then pull in as well. And there's an idea which she and I talked about, which is that ultimately you could kind of use this, our site, you publish a volunteer opportunity here, and it automatically gets sent to all the different sites. So you don't have to worry about logging into all of the other different sites and whatever. And it's just a mechanism for making sure that those things go out. That seems to be, her
the main.
That's kind of that's the direction that she's pushing in.
Okay.
At the moment, I mean, and maybe ultimately the volunteers page will become the home page rather than the organization list. So that's kind of the direction that it's heading in. She's also talked about things like events and discussions in the past, but I haven't heard those talked about so much recently, and the big focus does seem to continue to be on volunteering.
Okay, so that's the main thing, I think.
Yeah, and that connects to what I mentioned, this of domain model. One of the things that we've been doing in the
just wait a second.
Sure.
I have doorbell.
A gdzie wychodzisz?
Na to spotkanie Kruga. A co? Nie ma czasu. Okay, I'm back.
Okay. Hey. I was just so that there's a kind of at the very top level of agile development, sort of supporting the customer and so on is absolutely this thing you'll mention here is we want to be thinking about what the long-term needs of the customer are, and obviously there's lots of bits and pieces to fix and so on else. We also want to be kind of trying to boil down the domain model, as it were. I've got this domain vision statement which sort of describes the kind of the key entities and how they interact. So we're mentioning here organizations and volunteer opportunities and users and guests and site admin, super admin, and so on.
So probably you would need to change some features, names of charity to organization, like that.
Yeah, I think so. And so this is a problem, as you've seen in the site itself, that we've got. There is inconsistency in terms of the labeling in the features. Some of the features are written at a low level. Kind of the whole higher level sort
but
of.
apart from this place, did you see the problem with domain names in other places?
I think we have. We've got services. I think that throughout there's. there are areas that are questionable. I think that the key idea of having a domain model written down is that so everybody kind of coming to the project kind of gets the domain model sort of approximately in their head. We've been doing some work in the Website One project to try and work out the domain model for the Website One project, and then kind of the associated domains, and you have, each of its own, like here we've got Slack and GitHub and trackers like Pivotal Tracker. They've each got their own terminologies. And there is, I think, a danger in projects in the long run that you get to a certain extent inconsistent terminology, and then you also get terminology kind of bleeding in from other domains. And so it's not like we need to rush in and start changing things left, right, and center. But in terms of as we develop new features and as we do bits of refactoring and tidying up, we want to kind of have something to refer back to, which is kind of, this is the way that we talk about the entities within our system, if that makes sense.
So this is something like definitions.
Yeah, definitions of these things and their relationships. There's this concept. I mean, it may almost get to the point of we could do CRC cards for this. There's this. Can I find an example for you? There's it's a class responsibility collaboration card. Is this concept of the way in which to sort of talk about the entities in the system. But anyway, that's I think on another occasion where perhaps you've got more time, we could do something of what we've been doing as we have in Website One, and sort of drawing diagrams, writing a little bit more about, brainstorming about what are the domain entities, in the system. When you said make more user seeds, I didn't quite understand that suggestion.
So now when I have this application run, for example, when I need to set it up on Heroku, I need to manually produce some users because
okay.
Not there are only dots on the map, so I need to produce users that are connected with organizations.
Okay, so I think what you mean is right. There should be some more realistic data in there. Yes.
Yeah, especially users, because organizations and I think they are taken from the production database, and also volunteer opportunities are taken from Do It, but users, no, there are only 3 users in seeds.
Okay.
And that's why it doesn't see normal. So manually, I need to produce more users.
Yeah, that's an excellent. Well, that I think we can put straight into. That I think we can add that as probably as a chore into the backlog there, as add more realistic data to DB seed. I mean, it's e.g. users and other things to make a seeded app look more like the real thing. Yes, and that kind of, that's a great suggestion. What that brings us to here is this ordering on the backlog. Now, but you said you needed to go at 1:15, so maybe do you need to finish up now?
Yeah, I would need to finish up.
Yeah, well, I think it's a good chat. Why don't we finish up there? I will now spend the next few minutes going through and trying to make sure that the ordering on this is accurate, so that we can move forward on that. I guess.
And you can. I don't know how you want to approach it, but maybe you could also give points to these chores and bugs.
Yeah, I guess I will just go ahead and do that. Do my bit. I mean, it's like maybe in a different setting we would be voting on it, but I think maybe certainly for the chores, I can just put some points in there, and that will help people move forward. Yeah, the only other thing is that I commented on the pull request. I've made some things in there. They're not strong suggestions. I mean, the idea of doing a view helper here,
like refactor, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. It's sort of, it could be. All these things. I think if it's fun, if you're inspired to do it, I think possibly more is that there's this. Are you familiar with this distinction between declarative and imperative scenarios in Cucumber?
Yeah, I don't quite understand it in practice, but I know.
Yeah. This one here, there's a couple of blog posts, have a read. And then anyway, we can talk more about this, later in the week. Yeah, cool.
Okay, that you would like to see the behavior and not okay, but I'm not sure then how it should be done, because I understand that in theory, but I'm not sure in practice how it should be done.
Well, I think if you've got to go, we probably don't have time to talk about it more now. Maybe you've already read these blog posts. Anyway, we can discuss it further.
I read this because you already gave it to me.
Okay.
The thing is, okay, I can think about it, but I'm not sure how to check it then.
Yes, I mean, I guess the note that I've given, so like and review the full changes on that file. I mean, basically the main thing I'm saying here is like checking that these things are tagged with this thing. This is like it's very specific to the implementation of the view. And if we are checking that the URL for this, in some ways, like this is making this one redundant. That's one thing. The second thing is like if I was quickly writing, a scenario for that, the key thing that I would be doing is scenario. This is like category titles are linked. Is I'd be describing it at the very top level. So I'd say when I given I am on the show page for Friendly, and I click on health, then I should see only the charities associated with health. Like so. So this is the kind of ideal top-level description of what's happening.
Okay, I'm not sure because I was also, browsing all the steps that we have already defined. So maybe it's like there are no steps, and maybe I need to define new steps for that.
That's right. So that would be the trick, is defining the new steps and then defining them in the right way, and then so on. And what we would be doing here is kind of, we'd have a background where we would be like setting up the orgs and the categories and the relations, or however we were doing it. And then, so this, I should just only see a charity associated with health. Like this would do some sort of check to work out what are the charities that are supposed to be seen. I mean, you could have it this is like, then I should see a link to, cats and dogs. Like so. I mean, you can make it more specific like this, but this is the key difference, right? Like this description, it doesn't quite tell us what it is that the thing is doing. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, you gotta go?
Yeah, I understand. So thank you, and I need to go.
Okay, no, that's great. Wonderful talking to you as always, Piotr. I'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you for explanations. Bye.
Bye for now.